next segment. Y'all already know what time it is. It's time to rap. This segment is brought to you by Button Snaps, where you get classic movies, shows, documentary, and original content for your viewing pleasure of $4.99. Again, Button Snaps. First hot topic of the night. We spoke about it a little earlier. Y'all already know what time it is. The presidential election results is in, and Donald Trump is our president. He's president once again. Trump 2024, and he's our president. What do you think about that?
Based upon what I got for cooking for Petty Thoughts moment, y'all gonna see why. But at the end of the day, it's just business as usual. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't matter who sits in the president's office. Based upon the information I have, and I'm gonna share with y'all later on. But based upon that, it really doesn't matter because it's all a game at the end of the day.
You know, I find it very interesting because the whole time that we've been talking about the presidential election, my thing, it wasn't to tell people who to vote for. Every time I gave information, it's been on both sides of the park. Whether it's Kamala, I just can't stop saying her name like that, or Donald Trump. They both have shaky past, one way or the other, and we both seen them work. Now, with Kamala, we've seen her in the forms of being the vice president, and her resume wasn't great as the vice president. Um, Donald Trump, I mean, he did get some things shaken for the betterment of the financial situation moving forward, but I know it came from the previous president, which was uh, Barack Obama. Shout out to Vicky in the building. Shout to Vicky in the building. Appreciate you tapping in. Uh, but here's the thing. In this particular situation, looking at it today and moving forward, what the country needs is really focus on local government. The president in itself is going to focus on more of the things that we need to see more so is the financial stability of what the tax laws is going to be. That's the main thing that he could affect immediately. But everything else is more locally affected. Most people, when you ask them who's your city government or who's your city councilman, they won't even know it. They won't even know who's the mayor, who's the governor, who is your alderman. Most people don't even know that. Most people don't even know where their office is at. Most people don't even know where to find them. And they easy to find. They probably the most accessible layers of the government in your local community than anything else. You could just walk into their office and have a conversation with them and build and understand what their mindset and their plan is going to be for the local community, the community that you live in, the community that you also pay taxes for. So with this election in itself, I find it very interesting of the backlash that came from it. I mean, it was all types of tropes that was coming from this election. But it was very interesting that less than 48 hours, I should say. It was 24 hours. I'm bugging, right? It's 24 hours, right? Less, right?
Yeah, 48 hours.
48 hours, right? So less than 48 hours, you have different countries that's like, yo, whatever beef that was pending, we want to put a course to action to end all beef. We want to get to the money on. We want to open up the gates and get to this money on. We want to keep the peace and get to this bag because we can't go the next 4 years as we had the last 4 years financially. People are losing their homes. People are losing their vehicles, their ability to travel, their ability to just get from work to back, to get to the groceries to back. Like, it's nasty out here financially. People having to take on extra jobs just to make meet ends meet. And that sits with people most importantly. So what Donald Trump represents, most people say, well, he's benefiting off a system that was already, predated before him, which was through the Obama administration. Very true, but let's keep it funky. People don't give credit to Barack Obama regarding that, right? They don't give him that credit regarding that. But doesn't mean that Barack Obama was a great president. That's another fact. Number two, when it comes to Donald Trump, what he represents, you got other countries that's willing to make peace, opposed to if Kamala was in the presidency. I don't think these other countries would be looking at us with peace on their mind. I think that they would have been looking at us like we would have been fooled. So at the end of the day, we got to understand these whoever that's in the office is still controlled, and they controlled by the house and the people that they have around them. It's up to us as a community, whether it's local or global, on telling them what we want and what we need, and them trying to give us something that we need. We need money. We need opportunities in our neighborhoods, and we need to lower the cost of living. Those are the things that we need. And when Trump was in office prior to, our economy was thriving. And I feel like if he had another 4 years, that our economy would have took off even more because we regressed afterwards. We went through things that I don't think we would have went through before, like the COVID shot. Soon as Joe Biden came in office, he made people take COVID shots, and then making somebody take something to keep their job is unconstitutional. You had a whole bunch of people that said, I'm not going to take the jab, but they end up losing their job or had to sit out from their job. And then for 2 years later, be like, oh, my bad, we was wrong. And because we was wrong, we want to pay out this money that you're going to get taxed on. All those people that got sent home, they end up getting their money later on. Y'all do know that, right? So at the end of the day, we have to. I'm really happy about this election, mainly because this was an election that most people voted on what they saw in the candidate for what it is. It's not a hate against Kamala. It's not a hate against Donald Trump. People voted for what it is. And there was a whole lot of word salad. There was a whole lot of fear mongering. There was a whole lot of identity tactics with people trying to get identity votes. I mean, it was a whole lot of tropes going on. And I'm glad people voted for their better interests and what they feel is their better interests more than any other election that I've seen and been alive for. So that's what I was happy to see about this particular election and how it turned out. I don't know what you think about that, bro.
Again, when y'all get to my petty thoughts moment, y'all gonna have a different opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so funny. You had all these types of people on other TV shows like The View. You had people on the Breakfast Club like Charlamagne the God, who was really pushing a narrative for Kamala. I know it's probably driving y'all crazy, but I can't stop saying her name like that, yo, because they was really trying to push this narrative on identity politics with her. And had she came out and just stuck to the views instead of trying to identify, oh, I'm this or I'm that, because that became a major issue because you're identifying something that the rest of the culture don't see you as. And now when that has chinks in its armor, then that became a whole issue. If she would have stuck to the issue, she probably would have had a better outcome. She she lost the popular vote and of course the electoral vote. So that goes to show what people's mindset was and seeing for what it is, and all different types of groups that voted for Joe Biden prior to, or the Democratic prior to, voted for Trump this time around. So it was a very interesting dynamic in this particular election, and I feel like it was easy work for him. The only real support that she got was obviously New York, California, I believe Colorado. was a big one for her, and I'm forgetting a Midwest area that was like kind of close, but yeah, I mean, the world spoke, and I think we got it right this time. But what I do want to see, because let's keep it real, Donald Trump is not what you would call presidential. But with that being said, moving forward, we should remove certain things from job when people going for jobs moving forward. It shouldn't matter if people are, have felonies at this point. It shouldn't matter. Certain things should not matter moving forward. And that's one of the things that it shouldn't matter. Experience to get a job really shouldn't matter. I mean, it should matter, but I mean, look at the situation. If somebody don't have the classic training or the classic, skills for this job, in order for them to get this job, they have to have skills and training in an area that's so elite for them to even get this classic training. I mean, to get that particular position. So that's what I think about the presidential election, and it is what it is. So you see my brother, he got on his Grambling State University hat, but in the beginning I thought it was the Make American Great hat. But hey, man, the best man won. So for those who mad, get over it. It's a new day, move forward, and we have to deal with what we have to deal with. But tap into your local community and your local councilman. Don't sit up here and be like, oh, Trump this, Trump that. If you're not trying to affect your local council, your local members of council, so you're gonna miss me with all that every single day. You anything you want to add, or you want to save it for petty thoughts?
It's really about class system, right? It's about misclassification of a group of people. So with a stroke of a pen, they just erase excuse me, with a stroke of a pen, they just erase uh just a bunch of people on paper and created a new group of people on paper. And with that new group of people, they created policies and structures and systems in place to now subjugate this new group of people. But this new group of people are an old group. So you've been misclassified. And the problem is, because of misclassification, this is the end result of it. You know what I'm saying? This is you voting and doing all this hootenanny that means nothing at the end of the day, when you still have to ask the same people for bread and water. When the bread and water used to be yours in the first place, you used to make it and you're back home. So it's all about misclassification, which I'll go more deeply in petty thoughts moment.
Bet. All right, moving on to our next hot